We're having
Man,
a
Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to another episode of Save, Sanctified, and Single. And
Bandwidth.
I'm here with my friends, and we're having another conversation tonight. And this time, this conversation is about to go a little bit deeper than where we've been at before. So, as you guys are watching, make sure that you share, create watch parties, and tag people in the post. Make sure you start sharing and start inviting people to watch because this is going to be a really interesting episode tonight. So let's get straight to it. So today's topic is going to be the reality about sex, the big S word, sex. So let me bring a an icebreaker in, and this is off of the entire topic that we just talked about before we got on here. So as you guys were growing up, let me ask you this: did your upbringing,
bandwidth.
people around you, uh, help you as far as celibacy, not celibacy, but abstinence, or
No,
encourage you to wait? No.
Wait, I missed the question. Bandwidth.
My bad. My bad. Let me try again. Can y'all hear me now?
Good.
yeah.
Can y'all hear me now? Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So the
right.
question that I have is, did your upbringing, Lord have mercy,
I'm
did
listening.
your upbringing talk to you about abstinence,
No, they said
about waiting until you're married?
going to hell. That's all. That's all I got.
It says don't do-
That's all I got.
Most of the conversation that I think I had was be safe. And to that extent, we didn't even have the full in-depth conversation of the birds and the bees. And so it leaves us for a run of suspicion to see exactly what it is that you don't want me to do.
Mm.
Are we talking family
Okay.
and friends? Because that's two
We
different.
talking about family, friends, church, everything, upbringing.
Friends told me to try it. Church said I was going to hell, and family said just be safe. I had an aunt that told me to make sure I had my raincoat when I go out in the rain.
Oh,
Okay.
Mm.
you know,
Christian Marie.
when you grow up in a certain area, it's like everybody's doing it, so they like, well, just try it. It's that type of environment. It's no like, oh, well, you should wait till marriage. Everybody doesn't believe the same thing you believe, so yeah.
Mine was different. Everyone, my church, my family, my friends, everyone said to wait until marriage. So that was my upbringing.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
So
I don't think too many people, especially maybe it was a change, but in the black culture, they kind of just tell you to do it right, and they
mm,
don't really have, I mean, permission to ask a question. Has any of us had that actual conversation where they sit you down and say, "This is what happens when this is, and this is how this go"? I did. I had most of the education that I received was maybe one or two health classes in middle school.
When well, initially growing up, when I was living with my grandmother, it was just like, don't do it. It was not any explanation. When I moved with my mom, when I got to high school and like my friends were having sex, my mom did have the conversation like, if you start feeling urges, come talk to me. If you have any questions, come talk to me. But I was in high school. I was older when that happened. I didn't have it like growing up. It wasn't like stages like in middle school. Let me know if somebody starts touching you or if you see something in class. It wasn't that. It was just from don't do it to if you think about doing it, hit me up.
Yeah.
Mine wasn't
mm.
like that at all.
So
Um, a lot of people, for me, since I was always the youngest in any of my circles, like my family, my friends, everyone told me their experiences, and they said like they would have waited if they had known certain things. So for me, they didn't really talk about it. They just said pretty much to wait. But yeah, they didn't talk about it. It was just like a touchy subject. Like they felt uncomfortable talking about it. I'm expecting adults that were in my life at the time, they felt really uncomfortable talking about it, even though it was going on, you know, like it happens in the world, but they did not feel comfortable talking about it.
I think,
I was gonna say real quick, I love my parents, but I don't think they ever talked about sex with me. And so when I started, you know, feeling those urges, it was like I felt like I couldn't talk to them because we already hadn't had that conversation. And for me, that, you know, I know going forward with my children, I would want to start early because I had my son when I was 15. So I feel like if I would have had that actual like sit down conversation, I feel like that would have, even though I love my son, that would have just like slowed me down instead of like, well, ain't nobody talking to me about it. Why is it so bad? Let me go ahead and jump in. Let me try type situation.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I don't mean to cut you off, but the promiscuity of the silence of it is actually what pushes you. And being even a man, often men don't say this. I think I would have kept my virginity a little longer if I would have had a proper conversation of what this is going to entail, and not just the dangers of you're going to have a child, but the dangers of the soul tie or the danger of the STD, all of these things that play into a factor. I think many times when we talk about sex, we only talk about the actual action of it and not the things that comes with it. And I think that's something that we actually should embark on, because we tell our children, we tell our people, don't have sex, abstain from it, but we never give them a reason why. The reality is it is just as natural as food, sleep, or whatever the other necessities of life is. It's a natural gift from God. But what comes with it is what puts us in a danger when you don't use it right. And that is what I think we need to shine light on, that instead of just telling people, keep your legs closed. Why? Okay, because children are going to come, but that soul tie is going to make you cry and all that good stuff, you know. So that's my thing.
You said about being silent. And my pastor says this all the time. He says, in the areas where the church is silent, the devil is screaming the loudest.
Yes.
To your point, that if those conversations, and like what Brianna said, if those conversations would have been had, outcomes could have been different.
Relationships would have looked differently to me if I would have had a hold on my sexuality. I wouldn't have been such a beast after women if I would have had control. I mean, if we're gonna be transparent, I wouldn't have been as hungry as I was for those erotic moments, and I probably would have saved myself a whole lot of headache, finances, whatever the case. But because we never had that initial conversation of control over sexuality, it just ran as fluid as it could possibly flow, and it landed many into some dangerous waters. Long-lasting relationships that we couldn't get out of, and so on and so forth.
Wow.
And I think it's the job of the church and the parents.
Absolutely.
As much as they know. And so the church, and so if both conversations would have been had on both parts, like I said, the outcome could have been.
And I have to agree with you, because even when you look at the marriage ministry, they still are reluctant to talk about go to bed with your spouse. It's just like it's this standoffish sin that even though it's right when you're married, you still don't hear it. I mean, when is the last time you've heard over the pulpit, and let's just be transparent, a preacher say, go home to your wife and go with her? We tell her don't, you know. I always have a real conversation about that. But we don't hear.
Yeah. Okay, so for you two being pastors, why do you think the church as a whole shies away from sex?
I have an answer. Joe, would you like to go?
Well, listen, y'all are kind of delving into what I was going to say. So I came in a different context. So my church is very traditional, and I'm very, very, very traditional. However, we when we were younger, me and a couple of other my friends, were in this program called True Love Waits. And True Love Waits was part of this program, like back in those times, where basically had a conversation of why you need to be abstinent, what can lead to this if you decide to do this, talk about, you know, what sex can lead to, not just only disease wise that you can get, pregnancy, and even, you know, the spiritual part. So for real, like when we had those conversations, it was like people that were forward thinking at the time. And this was back in 2005, 2007. And I'm looking like, whoa, like I never thought that at a traditional Black Baptist church, they would have the conversation with us, because most churches, like you said, they say it's a sin, but there were people that saw the importance of, we need to do this now. We need to have this conversation now. So I think that, you know, I'm blessed to have that model, but, you know, being transparent, you know, it was for a time, and then, you know, it didn't work the way it should have worked, you know, and I'll be honest, you know, that's my testimony. And I think that, to be honest with you, the only thing I think, which is the main part we're talking about tonight, is those urges. And those urges are real. Those urges are strong. And I think us as pastors, and I'll go back to what the church needs to do. I think we talk so much about homosexuality. I think, you know, talk about the bad about homosexuality, that we don't talk about the fact that some
bandwidth
people that are in, let's tell the truth and shame the devil on tonight. But, you know, those are the things that are going on by, you know, people who serve in leadership, people who sing, people who do different things. Those are the ones that are doing it. And I think some of us have strayed away from talking about it, talking about the reality of, you know, people have urges, people will do these things, and, you know, having that open and transparent conversation. So it gets a little sticky, but I think it needs to be had just from behind the pulpit, so people can know, hey, pastor understands this, pastor hears us. So it's not only dealing with the spiritual, but it's also dealing with the physical as well. So let me ask on the other side.
I want to put something in on that. I don't think that it's just that. I think that many pastors stand away from the conversation concerning sex for multiple reasons. One being,
okay, so what's your reason?
Yeah, well, one of the reasons being they only want to go as far as it is safe. And sex is a very in-depth conversation that demands a certain level of transparency and awareness. And when you are not willing to be transparent, and you're not willing to embark upon the dangerous waters of that, and wherever it may land you, then you shy away from it. I also believe that many have not found, and this may be strange, but comfortability in their own sexuality, that they stay away from it. And so there's many things that can play in a role to why the church is, as the scholar already stated, whatever the church is silent about, the devil is screaming about. But most of what we're silent about is because we're still struggling with.
And I think sometimes because everybody's in the sanctuary, right? We have singles, we have married people, we have kids. It's so many people in the sanctuary. I think the pastor that's supposed to say something, and the wrong person take it and apply it to their life. Like, oh, he said it was okay. It's like, but he said it was okay, but for married couples. So they don't want to tread a water that is still a blurry line, because people might not interpret everything the same way. Like you said, trying to be safe or trying to be comfortable.
Taylor, would you suggest that even in the preaching moment, you can give a statement and give parameters to what you're saying, and people can understand you?
If somebody's listening, because if you think about it, if a preacher's talking and they say sex, that's you like, what you gonna say? And you're gonna take what you want. You're gonna take what you want out of it. You cannot be listening to the whole sermon, but you hear sex or weed or smoking or drinking, then certain demographics, your ears gonna perk up. Like, oh, what the preacher talking about? He talking to me now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
talking my language.
So I think if you're listening and you put it in the right context, it could be helpful. But the preacher can say things all day long, and somebody can turn around and take it the wrong way. It happens every day. It happens all the time.
So let me throw this in here. As far as when we were talking about those urges and what you were saying, Chris, about waiting. So for some people, let me ask you this. So why is it hard for people to wait?
Peer pressure. Or just the curiosity.
I would say curiosity.
Not having the conversation. Like we said, not having a conversation. I think just being curious.
I think that and the way that sex is portrayed to us in media and culture and everything you see. I think Brianna mentioned this maybe like the first or second episode, that you can turn on your phone and see some version of sex just on your phone. The studies say, I think by the age of 7, it might even be younger than that, children will be exposed to sex. So from a young age, we're already being groomed, and where it's in our head, it's in our unconscious mind, whether we know it or not, that it's there. And for someone to,
I agree with that.
If it's a natural thing, it's always in your face. That's what I'm saying. Hey, I'm gonna sit this food right here, and I know you're hungry, but don't eat it.
Yeah.
God bless you. Don't
Wow. Wow. In social media, I like to say that social media has become the modern day auction. We get to look up, we get to open it up and kind of buy and pick whatever we so desire.
Mm-hmm.
And so that could be a reason too. I mean, sex sells.
Yes.
And it sells in many ways. Social media likes, social media following, buying a product. I mean, you could be selling a Canon camera, but they liable to put a woman in a bikini. Why? Because it sells. You'd be looking like, I'm trying to buy a camera. Why is she?
Like, if I take a picture with that camera.
Yeah.
That camera will give me, just like, oh, but it sells.
I'm
so
just hear what everyone else has to say about
it. So some people are saying, so they're saying there's not much self-control. Then we got flesh.
The flesh is weak in a lot of areas, depending on what your weakness is. That's what they tell us.
That's what they said.
And then hookup culture.
Hookup culture feeds into our ideas of sex. It is this sacred thing between two people. Okay. Well, I think there's secrecy. It just has to be intentional.
Yeah.
Intentionality is the main ingredients of success.
Yeah. Very, very true. Let me go back to a question Brother Chandler said not too long ago. He asked the question. He said, so as preachers, how hard is it to practice the biblical principles around sex?
We're not all preachers on here. I just want to.
Well, Adway, myself, Christian.
So as preachers, how hard is it to practice biblical principles around
sex?
I believe he's a minister. Minister Chandler, I believe you're a minister in the Lord's church. Would you share how you are handling the pressures of sexuality and the biblical principles?
Yeah.
He's astute. He's very astute. I would love to hear sentiments on that as we
definitely. We definitely, yeah.
For just me being, on the outside, I don't think it's even any harder for preachers than it is anybody else. We're all people. And I think when people look at preachers, they take away their humanity and they put them up on this pedestal and act like everything is just so different from them. And it isn't. They're all human. We all have the same walk of life. Some people preach the gospel and some people are just listening to it, trying to learn from themselves. Like, it just depends on where you're at. But I don't think it's any easier, any harder for preachers than it is for the person sitting in the pews.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I think that we should stop differentiating preachers from people. I mean, from regular people. I understand that the calling of our lives is at a higher calling, but all persons that sit in any form of a spotlight deal with the pressures that come with the spotlight. Whether you are a preacher or you are Bree is a whole praise and worship leader.
And I think about that, people throwing themselves at the people in the pulpit.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was gonna say to this man of God's comment. Last week we talked about that a little bit, about people who are in the pulpit or just in the spotlight, how they have a lot to look at. But as Kayla said, it can be no different from someone else. I mean, anyone who I've heard this, who helps people, so that's a doctor, a counselor, a preacher, they all have a sense of it's hard for them in a sense because they share a vulnerable space with people. So I think ministers sharing that role a little bit. Anytime you can control someone's emotion and you're in that vulnerable space, you are in a tough situation with this, what we're talking about tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? If you don't mind, I would love to hear his perspective in person. I think that would be something perfect just to hear it. So I'm going to give him the link. So Chandler, you stay right there. I'm going to give you the link so that you can come on in and tell us your perspective so that we can hear it a little bit clearer tonight. So I think that it goes back to more or less the entire concept of not only waiting, but what you would say tips, what you would say. So we talked about having the conversation. So let me ask you this. All of us are proponents of saying, don't arouse love until it's ready, right? So that's Song of Solomon, by the way. Don't awaken love until it's ready. So with that being said, what can we share with the people who's saying, hey, you know, how can I be encouraged to wait so I won't fall into it or want to have it?
Count the risk that.
Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Steve.
You're gonna want to have it. If you don't want to have sex, something wrong with you. Like,
what about the asexual people?
What do you mean?
There's
asexuality is a thing.
You can't say the people who don't want to have. You gonna want to have sex. It's about how.
There's asexual people.
There are asexual people in the world, Kayla.
Okay, I'm sorry. Come
on, let's be inclusive tonight.
I'm talking about the regardless of who is with, you gonna want to, never mind. Okay.
No. I want you to finish your thought.
My next point is we can't say like we don't want to have sex. That's not realistic. We're going to want to have it, but we have to focus our attention and energy elsewhere. So for me personally, I don't put myself in positions to even do that. Like if I'm chilling with a boy, you got to go home. If you at my house, we're not spending the night. We're not playing house. We're not doing sleepovers. Mm-hmm. I'm not putting myself in situations where I feel like, I might want to, or even down to the clothes that I wear. Like if I'm going to hang out with a guy one-on-one, I'm not putting no biker shorts on. I love wearing biker shorts, but I'm not putting around a guy that I'm talking to, dating, and getting to know because I don't want his mind to go there. And I don't want to, people start touching and we grown, like, things happen. So I'm never going to, I'm conscious about everything that I do before I go over to his house or before he comes over or before we go out or things like that. Like their boundaries are set and I haven't made up in my mind.
I think it's important to know what you're weak in. And if you know that that's an area that you are weak in, like Kayla said, don't put yourself in them predicaments. Like, yeah, he cute. You don't need to go over there. It's midnight. What you going over there for? Like, you just have to be conscious of the decisions that you make. Mm-hmm. And don't flesh is weak. Okay, so don't think like, oh, it's fine. I'm gonna go over there. It's midnight. We just no, sis. You just have to be conscious of what it is that you are weak in, and not continue to put yourself in that predicament, because everybody falls and comes short. Okay, but there is a difference between falling and you making it a habit.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Don't making it a habit is where you have problems.
Mm-hmm. I agree with what everyone said, and I think it's kind of like if you've ever listened to a song that you really like, and then it's no longer popular, so you stop listening to it, and then years later down the road, you'll just start singing it out of nowhere, and it's just in your spirit. I feel like that's the same thing with sex. If you're always thinking about it, always doing that, it gets down in you, whether you know it or not, in your unconscious mind. And then, like Kayla said, if you it, what do you think is going to happen? It's very natural to have these urges. Sex is very natural to want to do it. I think not only should we not tempt ourselves, I think we should be aware of what we're feeding ourselves, what we have an appetite for. So you need to combat sex. So the music, what you're looking at, what's on your phone.
You need to get your worship playlist.
Huh?
They need to get a worship playlist.
I have one I can share.
Necessarily be worship music, something else. You just need to combat it with something else. I'm here for worship music, don't get me wrong, but for someone who's not necessarily used to that or accustomed to that, you need to combat it with something else.
I agree. These comments are wearing me out.
Yeah.
They are wearing me
hold on.
Thin as a piece of paper. Shira is clearing my nose on this.
Yeah, she says this happens in the daytime.
She says, sweetheart, it can happen.
But I work, so I don't know.
Shira said it can happen in the day.
I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. It's only at night. I was saying like specifically for me. You know, I work all day, so when I do hang out with the guy that I'm dating, it's in the evening / nighttime when we get off of work. But
Shira said also, if a man wants you, you can have on a bikini or a choir robe.
Oh, she is going in.
Shira got me weak.
Lord have mercy. All right, let's add in the special guest, Reverend Chandler Sanders. Hold on in, buddy. He actually graduated. Congratulations, buddy. He graduated from the Great American Baptist College. Buddy, good to see you, man. Come on, share with us. Share with us, Precious.
It's good to see. Hey, Precious, out of the way. Hey, buddy.
Blessings, grace, and peace will be unto you.
Yeah.
Calling each other precious.
Yeah. We do. It's ABC thing.
Grace and peace. Grace and peace.
I think for me, it's knowing where you are in your sexual experience, knowing where you are in your sexuality and embracing that, but also having a firm foundation to be able to, if you have to, defend where you are. I think we get so caught up in worrying about what everybody else is doing, including the pastors and parishioners, that we find ourselves in a place where we can't understand why we're doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So for me, I think practicing biblical principles is making sure that I understand what the Bible says about sex.
What would you suggest the Bible is teaching us about sex?
Yeah.
Well, if you went to ABC like I did, and took sexual.
We all went to ABC, Doc.
I would love to hear your interpretation for those who are viewing. We have about 26 watchers tonight.
Come on, tell us, man. Tell us.
My interpretation. Well, one of my favorite scriptures is found in the Old Testament, and it's about Ruth and Boaz.
And what does that text teach you?
One of the things that teaches me, they didn't wait to marriage. Ruth had sex with Boaz before she married him.
Mercy. Are you implying that Ruth gave in to her sexual urges before she got married?
Well, I'm implying.
Is that the text?
Yeah.
He's a textual preacher.
But we don't miss the principle of what Ruth did. The principle of what Ruth did was to save her family, but still Ruth had sex before she got married, because the text says that when she came to cook for him, and then she uncovered his feet and laid at his feet. Those of you that know what feet means in the Greek or in the Aramaic, it means genitals. So therefore, to me, that would imply that she laid at his feet and they had some type of sexual contact.
Mercy.
My.
So
So does that contradict? Let me ask you this. So does that mean that contradicts, because that all goes into adultery, where we learn adultery is supposed to be anything that is outside the confines of marriage. So does that basically contradict everything that's said about not committing that? I'm just, like I said, that's like we just having a conversation tonight. What do you think? Yes, Kayla.
Yes, you can go first.
Oh, Chandler, yeah.
Oh, go ahead,
We got
Kayla. I mean,
Oh, okay. So what I was gonna say is, I was just talking about this the other day. The scripture says a lot about sex. It's for your husband and wife. It's for couples. It's for married people. And then there are scriptures that show things like you said. Ruth had sex before marriage, but that doesn't cancel out everything he says. Sometimes it's just a story to tell us what not to do, or to show us that things happen and let's not repeat it. Sometimes it's not always, oh, God said don't do this, you kill somebody, and then, oh, somebody got killed, so not killing isn't a sin anymore. There's stories about things that happen in people's real lives. These are real stories that people can relate with, and people can relate to. Everything is not just don't do this, do this, don't do this. The Bible isn't all roses and flowers. Things went wrong, and God had to correct it. So that's all I wanted to say to your point about that when you asked, should it cancel out everything else?
right.
All right. Anybody else?
Well, Pastor Chandler, thank you so much for joining us, man. You know, I appreciate you, baby. You did such a good job.
Bless you.
Thank you.
And,
Yes,
and I want to hold on before you go, because he had his own podcast. Chandler, tell us about that.
Quarantine Conversations, man, we talk about a lot of different things, man. I'm trying to get some things together. We have another one coming on talking about the gap. And so what the gap is, we're talking about the gap between the generations in the way we protest, culture, church. So it's not just limited to Christians. So those of you that, not looking for a church, but looking for, relaxed vibe, you're more than welcome to join us. And I'm definitely tuning in to what Pastor Strong, Pastor Adaway, and all of you wonderful folks are doing. And I'm just so proud.
Chandler, you got a shirt?
Yeah.
You got a shirt? I saw Pastor Lester wear it. You got a shirt? The Preaching Protest?
Oh, yeah, I got a shirt. Yeah,
Hey, can you
so I thank the Lord.
link that in? Put in the comments. So we can put your plug in. Because I'm gonna order a shirt.
Okay, definitely. We'll get that together. We don't have an official website. It's just been a couple of people ordering, but I'm working on that. So we should have one within the week. So once I get that out, I'll share that link with you. And I appreciate y'all, and definitely y'all too. And some of y'all will definitely be on Quarantine Conversations coming up really, really soon. So I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one, man. I'm still watching.
I love you, Chandler.
Love you, buddy.
Yeah.
Love you, precious.
Love you, buddy. All right.
Kayla don't like that.
That precious threw me off.
That was our inside. That was our inside lingo.
I started that. I used to call people precious deers and precious lambs, and then now everybody running around calling everybody precious and all of this. I love those children of God. Grace and peace be unto them.
Yes.
Let's back to the conversation. And so sex is something that we've not had a conversation about, and I think we need to go deeper about it tonight.
Okay, so I have a question. What would you all's suggestions be, or how do you think that the church could implement having conversations about sex with singles, young adults, and maybe teens? How do you think the church could go about implementing that?
I would go to the extent that they should bring in those who are professionals in it, sex therapists, persons that have sex education. Why? Because we expect so much from the desk. And this is not a church conversation. Okay. I do want to put weight on that, but because we keep flying into this lane, it is not the responsibility of the pastor's desk to give everything. I believe, me personally, and there are many pastors and ministers on here, I would suggest that the pastor's desk can also be a place of resources that we can glean from those who have more astute knowledge in this, that they can come and they can have the conversation of what this will look like in your years to come and how your sexuality can paint on the canvas of your life beyond your what years? Your adolescent years. I don't think it's just our job.
I'm gonna have to play devil's advocate. I think a lot of times people are looking for an example, and if preachers and pastors are preaching from the pulpit a certain thing, but there is no model, there's nothing to look after, it seems unreal. And so what I've done is my pastor in New Jersey, he practices what he preaches. And we have a clear, and not that they're perfect, but we have a clear example to look at that it's possible. A lot of times preacher will say, do this, do that, but there's no example because you're not doing it. So I think if preachers can get it right in their own lives, we can have something to look at. I'm not saying they have to be perfect because we all fall short, but for a long time, there has been no example in the church. Preachers themselves have not always done what they've preached.
I agree. I got a question for you.
It can be healthy relationships.
So it's good that you ended that way, healthy relationships. So because in the past I've heard of churches telling pastors, well, we can't hire you or we can't bring you on because you're single. And so when it comes to that whole image thing, how do you maneuver through that as a single pastor? Female or male, in that, because most times when we say image, we're talking about they're married, they look happy, they're working together. But what does the dynamic look like when we have a single pastor? My pastor is married, but my pastor ain't married yet. So what then do you do when you have that?
I'm glad you asked that question. You said something I want to bring out really quickly. You said they look happy. There's a lot of that too. Putting on a facade to look like something, but I think consistency is the key, and a lot of people can read through fakeness. So that'll come through, but there are a lot of people being fake in their relationships. They're not happy, and that's for a lot of reasons. We're not going to touch on that. But to your point, what did you say? You said see, I done got off track.
I didn't say nothing.
Wheels are turning. You said what did you say?
The image of singleness, like how does that?
Okay, so I think for one, pastors should have staff that are single because it's important to have a balance. I think balance is important, and you can reach a lot of people in your singleness. You can do a lot in your singleness. Jesus did it himself. So I think, but as far as the whole image, I think like you're, in a sense, a single pastor. There's a lot you have to offer. There's a lot you can preach on from being single. And when you transition into marriage, you're still effective. So I think for this season that you're in, this single season that you're in, you still have a lot to say, a lot to offer. And there's nothing wrong with being single. Honestly, I don't agree with pastors saying you have to be married or you have to do this in order to be a pastor, because there's someone single who needs to hear from your point of view. Now,
talk about single pastors.
Huh?
But drop your ankle on single pastors in the image of that, because you said that pastors should hire those who are single. I agree, but like, I guess my question is, how do you give them a good image? I guess you could surround yourself with other couples. How can you give your church a great image if you are single? If I am single,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I think from that point of view, you really can't, because you're not in a marriage, right? So I think in that instance, I think someone put it in the comments, small groups or something like that, having and educating on what it's like to be single. And for those people who are married, I think maybe an expert would be okay bringing in, because you can't really talk about what you don't know about. But I think as far as your education goes, you can, talk to them about that, do everything you can as far as you can. But after that, maybe a mentor of yours who is married can come in. There's several things to follow. But as far as the image, if you don't have the image, you don't have it. But I don't know. Did I answer your question?
You did. And to answer Timothy Hatfield,
Bree said, how do we get to the point where being married or single matters in teaching the word?
Me and Tim went to school together.
Okay, cool question. Anyone?
Yeah.
I would suggest you get somebody you can bring person. I think Christian just answered it as far as bringing mentors in, sharing, teaching, because you cannot fully. I think you can be wise, but if you actually want to do justice to them learning, you want to bring somebody in that has experience. And I personally been, if I was like a great following me, I would definitely bring somebody in and I would glean myself.
Yeah, I think to Tim's point though, it doesn't matter in a sense as far as just, but I think being married, being single, all of that.
Oh Lord, so look at that out of the way. Put your glasses on, buddy. Put your glasses on, sir. Yeah.
Talk about a shot, Bree. Don't you get to looking bashful now?
Yeah.
You shall shut in.
Joe, put that on the screen, please.
Put it on the screen. I got you. There we go. He said, "What's up with Sister Bree?"
Let me instigate this.
Yeah.
That's the end of that.
Minister Chandler
Sanders. Yeah.
Deshaun Chandler Sanders
Sanders
here to share his sentiments about his love.
Look, Hogger said Chandler.
And wait a minute, let me get the first word. And Chandler leaves, but comes back and says, Doc, I forgot to ask, what's up with Sister Bree?
What's up?
Bree, I'm putting you out there. I feel like I'm the show host. Bree, what's up with you? Are you single, Bree?
The mic has me weak.
Yeah.
Bree, it's the mic that makes the difference. Bree, are you single?
We all single. We on here.
Bree, I asked you a question, sis. Are you single, sis?
Knows what it is. Go
Oh.
to
She said he know what time it is.
Oh, so Chandler Sanders, she's telling you to meet her in the DM Baptist Church.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, my
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm
Good
sorry.
grief, Lord.
Oh God.
And then wait a minute. Robert Con Hogger said Chandler walk slow. We suggest, Bree, you got options, baby.
Ooh.
Oh, my.
I had to bring my mic up.
Oh, Doc, turn it up. Turn the monitor
I had
up.
to turn up in the house.
Turn it up, Doc. Turn it up.
Turn the sound man said, turn my monitors up.
Yeah.
Right here, turn
Oh,
it up.
Chandler, you see, but okay, let's go. Let's go there for 5 seconds.
No, he don't
Does
like it.
blunt behavior like that speak well of a person's character?
Woo!
Bree, can you handle that question?
What was the question?
Does blunt behavior such as Exhibit A and B speak
What?
well of a person's character? Being, I'm gonna come on out here and I'm gonna say it. And I know, Pastor, I know we're talking about sex tonight.
Yeah, talk, man.
But I think we ought to lean in on this. I think we ought to lean in.
I like that.
Come talk to me.
Let it be known.
Can we talk for a minute?
Yeah.
Girl, I want to know your name. Can we tell? Oh, sister,
Yeah.
over here.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Ooh.
Mm.
So she said what she said. Now let's move on.
Yes.
Lord, be a hamburger tonight.
Hallelujah.
So
All right, I'll
Have mercy. So tonight, as we finish off, let me ask you this. I want to throw it in here. When we talk about urges, a lot of people say that people who have urges, they're likely to do things outside of having sex. They may decide to masturbate. Let's talk about it tonight. Do you think that masturbation is wrong? Come on, let's. I'm throwing it out there. Come on, everybody got silence.
I mean,
Is it wrong? Is it wrong? Is it a sin?
I don't know. They suggested the text, and I read my Bible, y'all, but y'all have to help me with the address where the man masturbated and the seed fell to the ground, and God, smited him. I don't. Y'all going to help me? I don't know. I can't answer that question biblically because I haven't studied that text.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of text people try to make fit this conversation. I think it's worth talking about because, like everything else we said, it's a thing that happens. People do it. And if you're a pastor on here and you don't believe your congregants are doing it, they doing it.
The saints are
saints and ain'ts, okay? But anyway, I think it's a relevant conversation. I've heard, I don't have my Bible with me, but you Bible scholars help me out. The text where the man wastes his seed.
That's what I was just talking about.
Oh, I'm blanked out. I'm sorry.
You're right. I've never studied that text, so please.
People use that text. And Joe was helping me with this earlier. It was in a different context. But the moral of the story, wasting your seed, people use that saying that it is a sin. And so, kind of like you, I haven't really studied that for that topic. But what I will say is, never mind.
No.
Turn in here.
No, sis, don't do this.
No, y'all come back to me. You know, I think a lot.
And I think you should share.
Yeah.
You said, meet me in Genesis 38. That was the story about Tamar and Judah. Y'all don't.
Yep.
Going my brother's. Oh, I'm performing duty, brother-in-law. Okay, I got you.
Come on, scholars.
Yeah. So when he decided not to, and he wasted it on the ground. So that's the question. And I mean, like I said, we don't have to have a straight answer, but I mean, it's a reality that, we have to deal with is, folks have urges. And so do we tell them to not do it at all, correct? Or what do we do?
Tell them to do what at all?
Not do anything, just to withhold their urges.
Well, I would definitely tell them to count up the cost that could possibly, that for most of us came at the hand of exploring too early. I think that level of transparency will help them to cut back some of the urges. And I don't believe in the whole pregnancy scare. As we started this conversation off, there are many other layers of this onion that comes in with having sex before your time. And the more we are honest and transparent about that, I believe young persons could step back. And, maybe I shouldn't say young persons, because I do know some older persons that have abstained from sex, and I'm sure they have urges. But to understand, I believe that when the text teaches us to abstain from sex, it is for why did somebody laughs?
I'm sorry. She said cross your legs and pray.
Right.
Shira is crazy.
Ooh.
Oh,
I think
Joe, you be crossing your legs praying.
who?
You be crossing your legs.
Oh, you on one. You are on one. You are all one.
The way you laugh, like you do.
You
Like,
are. Oh, why is he standing? Why is he standing? Oh. You are all one, man.
Joe.
Bless you, Attaway. Bless you, Attaway.
oh my God. Oh my God.
Man.
Husband love your wives, wife loves your husbands.
Yeah.
Oh, so back to what I was saying. They told us to abstain from sex because things come with it we were just not ready for. Sexual soul ties. Come on, let's talk about that.
Soul ties. Yeah.
Let's talk about what happens. Let's talk about the reactions of the action. Soul ties that you got to pray and cry off of you. That you got to carry at the altar and ask God to deliver you from it.
This is a good one. Teach about the spiritual nature of an orgasm and why it should be kept sacred. Then folks may understand a little more. Yes.
And I want Chantel is a proud young adult at the Pentecostal Church of Christ. We love you, Chantel.
All right. Malone, he says, I don't wear meat. Oh, Malone is crazy. Y'all coming out. All right, someone said, hold on. Said masturbation is a form of self-exploration. Learning what you like and learning what is pleasurable to you and your needs is normal. Does masturbation extend this curiosity or want to have sex, or does it root the earth and allow people to grow and learn the importance of its wholeness?
Y'all look so beautiful.
This is great. Hey, Shira said, look, we got to have Shira in next week.
We're not going to slide over him like that. We've been sliding over Tim all night.
Talk
Tim
about
been
it.
talking.
He been talking.
We've been
No, let's talk about them.
Okay, read it again.
So
you know what? Maybe we should bring Tim on.
That would be good to have him talk.
Yeah, send him the link, Brig.
Send him the link. Send him the link.
Lord have mercy.
That's
kind of what I was trying to get to, is that, you know, some folks, there's been a lot of people that said that if you masturbate, a demon, a demon's supposed to come visit you, or something like it's a sex demon. Yeah, some people say if you masturbate, that a sex demon, it's you have a sex demon or something.
Some people got sex demons.
Yeah, them STDs,
sexually transmitted demons. Them demons that boy done left you with, and you can't figure out why you done lost your mind. Talk about that.
Oh, holy night.
All right, we got some more comments. Y'all want to keep this comment up? All right. Hold on. There's a question. I'm going to take this comment off. There's a question. It says, why should Christians abstain from sex before marriage or sexual impurities? It is not because of pregnancies or STDs, but because we are new men in Christ. It comes with a new life. In Christ, we're called to find satisfaction in Christ. And therefore, while the urges rage, we are to make those urges subject to us to honor Christ.
So punctuation. Okay, man of God.
So I don't need to be devil's advocate, but what happens when you get married and you want to satisfy your wife or satisfy yourself? Or is that not satisfying God?
That's good.
It's good stuff.
I don't want us to use these. I don't want to use these texts one way. And can we take this off of my nose?
I can't.
Thank you, Joe.
And you couldn't be seen.
I'm over here like this.
soul ties or not?
Yo,
But y'all
over here like,
soul ties. We was too.
yeah, over here can't see worth nothing.
Lord have mercy.
Nice.
Look, we gotta have Shower next week. Shower gotta come on next week. She,
Shower.
What? Shar said her edge is falling out.
Air just falling out. Be intimate.
you gotta have Shower. Shower has to come on next week. She gotta come on next week.
Shower is a loose
I
cannon.
know. She gotta come on next week.
He said edges falling.
Yeah,
out.
that.
No edges.
But I do want to know. Wait a minute. Who edges fell out and why?
She said be intimate with him.
Who edges fell out? And she said if you don't have sex, your edges gonna fall out?
No, we talking about
What?
the
That's
boy that
intimate
left with you.
with
He took your edges with him when he went home. See, that's why y'all need to
Cloud.
Do you know how attached you gotta be for your edges to leave?
Just to
with
fall up, man.
Dang!
That's real. People be
Okay, I got to ask the question, ladies. Kayla,
y'all edges be falling out too. Y'all be getting them cul-de-sacs. Y'all get some cul-de-sacs right here. Y'all just ask us. Let's talk about this right here.
has your
What?
edges ever fell out at the end of the relationship? Yeah or nay?
No.
Bree, has your edges ever fell out at the end of the relationship? Yeah or nay?
Oh, but I'm cutting my hair. I changed my appearance. You hear me?
Bree, you covered it up. You covered it up.
No, we've always had edges. Since
Christian, did your edges fall out in a hand of a relationship? Yes or no?
That, and I feel like women will cut their hair.
To start all over.
They will cut their hair. They will change their appearance completely. If
Mhm.
she do that, men of God, let me tell y'all, all the men on here watching, she's not coming back. Once you cut that hair off, she cuts you off.
Or if you change that color.
To change your
You think
identity.
you're coming back? You're not. My pastor said this too. He said, women, they break up with you. But the men of God, they take a break. They slide back into them DMs. Let me tell you, she's done with you once you cut her hair. That's it. Continue as you were.
By the way, you done lost edges or got a cul-de-sac?
Your hair done receded a little bit.
Receded. Yep, receded. It didn't went back. I was stressed out. I was like, no, I'm just playing.
Them beards be patchy too.
It'd be like, my whole face fell off.
Yeah.
Connect.
Broke out all of
It be right here, Christian. Right here.
Wake up in the morning with a bump.
I swear if they brush it 1,000 times.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Please, whatever y'all do, ladies, don't get into a relationship to the point that it make your edges fall out. He ain't worth your edges. And he's not worth us having to go through seeing you edgeless.
People get
We
caught
want to
up.
see you on your at your best, and that is with all of your hair. Oh, bless the name of the Lord.
But sometimes y'all be faking. We don't know to the end because the edge is already gone.
Wow.
The moment you see, let's give a word of encouragement. The moment you see hair leaving, that moment you wake up and there's a little bit on your pillow when you got up, it's time to leave him.
A little bit on your
Just like your hair left you.
When you find yourself on a ride past his house to see if he's at home, it's time to leave him alone.
When you find yourself trying to go through the file,
It's time to leave him alone.
Wait a minute. Or it's time to leave her alone when you block her, but she sends you a cash app to text.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
So you just
no, I've blocked the dude before and he emailed me.
I've got
Wow.
I've gotten the email, I've gotten the fake Instagram, I've gotten fake numbers. Yeah. All in.
She gonna reach.
Hello.
What'd you
Which
say?
I
You
said,
told our
if
secret.
I can't reach you, she gonna get in contact with you.
Present.
I don't like that duo. I don't like that duo, Joe. I don't like that. I feel
No.
like that's hurting us.
You know what? That's okay because someone is getting blessed on tonight by it.
You
I think it was Pastor Shannon. And I'm not-
said cut the tires and call his mama. I ain't done that.
When he cut the tires and called his mom.
I don't do
Wait. When what?
Folks, well, I guess they cut the tires now.
And calling their mama.
Yeah.
I done called the mama, but I ain't slashed no tires.
You've called a man's mama and said where he at.
People are
No, I said he got me messed up.
I haven't had that, but I've had a young lady run up in my boy's dorm looking for me. I was at the barbershop and she came and slept outside the barbershop.
Oh, Jesus.
What?
Yeah, and it was crazy because she slept outside the barbershop. I was at the barbershop late. She pulled up at like 11. I didn't leave the barbershop to like 2. I was like, you gonna come inside and sit down? Like you just sitting out here watching.
Okay, I'm not doing that. I'm not leaving my bed.
No.
If I can leave my bed, we ain't.
Pull up Tim's comment.
What's
Tim said,
He had a question.
is it time to leave them alone when you aren't growing with each other anymore?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
so good.
If you complacent and he ain't doing what he supposed to do, she ain't doing.
Or when she ain't complacent, when she's complacent.
Absolutely.
Potential
Yes.
Wait,
so far. I
Shara
know.
said, what were you delivering?
what were you delivering? Shara. Hey, don't add away.
Wait a minute, what did Shira say?
She said, what were you delivering?
You got people sleeping outside the barbershop.
Were you delivering the word, Attaway? I know you delivering the word.
That is church logo. That is church logo.
I feed you
No,
with
the
the Listen, I don't know what happened, but I don't know. All of a sudden, my boy Robert was on here. Yeah, there go Robert. Robert had to bring her to the barbershop because she ran up in there asking, "Where's AJ? Where's AJ?" My phone had died. I was getting my grass cut, and he brought her around to the barbershop. Look, Rob, put the comment up there. She came in my house and didn't even knock on the door.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I was so embarrassed. Then she came to the barbershop and slept outside for 3 hours.
Looking for Attaway.
Why would she do such a thing?
Oh my God.
I need the story.
The full story. Tell your
We were
story.
dating at the time.
And
That's
We were
it.
dating at the time. We were a couple. I mean,
so I'm just going to my boyfriend barber. I'm running up in my boyfriend
you
homeboy
couldn't find me. My phone was dead.
just because we date. No, baby, what was you doing?
Nothing. No, seriously, I was
So she done ran up in your homeboy house just to look for you. What was she trying to do?
She was looking for me, Kayla, because she couldn't find me. My phone was dead.
So you been cheating?
Well, wait a minute. What? How do we go from phone being dead to cheating?
Oh, hold on.
She has some suspicions. Something else is going on.
Wait a minute. What if it was her?
She not just running up because your phone dead.
Whatever. I'll be John Brown. Men can't win for losing.
Can't.
Here I am at the barbershop trying to get my wig cut down. My phone is off.
Yes.
Huh? And she run into a dormitory that doesn't belong to me.
And Shara brought up a good point. So she ran up in your homeboy house and your homeboy brought her to you.
Yeah, what is the big thing?
So what did she run up in the house for?
She was looking for me. She didn't know where I was.
So she was running up people's houses? Like, that don't even sound right.
She knew him. She
So
knew Robert.
You well enough to run up in his house. Like, where my boyfriend at?
I don't think it was like a run in the house, like what I get done.
Not text. She couldn't text Robert Instagram.
She didn't have his
Ooh.
number. They went on that level of
But she can run up in his house.
Yes.
She don't have his number, but she can run up in his house.
All right.
door.
All right.
is open.
No.
We'll tap right here. We'll tap right here.
Trying to say.
We'll tap.
Hey, look, I see what you're trying to say. What is she trying to say?
I'm just asking. She don't have his number. They not on those good of terms, but she could show up at his address looking for you.
It was on the dorm. It was all on the campus. We lived like 5 steps away from each other.
Yeah. Yeah. It was in close. I would defend. Yeah, it was in close. It's all in close proximity.
If we're not on those good of terms, I'm not running up in your house. That's all I'm gonna say.
I just feel like this.
You did something.
I just feel like
No.
I just
See, that's
feel
the problem. Everybody think we did
I just feel like this. I just feel like this. People do what they want to do. Okay.
What?
I can't fault you for running up in the house. But she was looking for me. Okay.
In the comments, are y'all confused or am I tripping?
No.
Am I tripping?
Look, Congress said they need to do the after video feedback.
Because if I have a boyfriend and me and his friend not cool like that, for me to hit him up and ask him,
Fine, Kayla.
I can get to his door.
Say it.
So
But see, you have to understand the context of American Baptist College. All of our doors are open.
Yes.
And I even got another woman that can verify that Shira can tell that ABC is a campus, but it is.
all right, be quiet. Shira,
Open. It's
you
open.
just running up
It's
to somebody's
open.
house. You run up to somebody's house, Shira, just because you know where they stay, looking for your boyfriend.
It's open. Look, I'm trying to look. It's open. People used to do that all the time.
The behaviors are fueled with reason. I like Tim. The behavior was fueled with a reason.
Hey.
Attaway,
Look. Joe.
Attaway.
I rest my case.
Bye.
Listen, if there's nothing else Attaway, I'm gonna have your back.
They do stick together. It's not
Yeah.
They gonna lie.
I'm gonna have. Look, I'm so thankful for all the brother in the Holy Hill. Come on, y'all send your comments on how much we love the alma mater. There you go. Higginbottom. Amen.
All right.
The world, wherever
we may go, that word will never alter. It will never alter. It's showing all thy faithfulness. A-B-B. Memories of our tears.
Yes. Sing it that way.
Eyes shall linger in us. The word of all the preachers shall battle Satan's dark. For safety never it shall all thy sinless. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Yes. Church say yes.
Yeah.
Church say yes. Oh. Yes, sir. Oh. Church say yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Can I say that one more time? Yes, Lord. Oh. Yes, Lord. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
They say yes. Church say yes. I got another verse if y'all want me to live it.
It's all right. It's all right.
Oh,
It's all right.
come on, Caleb.
All right.
Yeah.
Lift up your voice, Kayla. Lift up your voice, Kayla. It's on you. Come on, Bree. Come on, Christian. Brought me out.
I'm not saying that.
He
Listen.
brought me out. Ha ha.
Yeah.
He brought me out.
Yeah.
Always a reunion.
Ooh, Lord Jesus. Look, I done felt it. Look, you don't mess around, done felt it. Ooh, Lord have mercy.
Oh, y'all went to school in Nashville?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Woo, Jesus, I felt that thing.
Can I get about 5 American Baptist College brothers to put ABTS? ABTS.
They did already.
No, we're going to do it again. ABTS.
They did already.
No, Kayla.
Hey, Malone. Malone, that's my friend, y'all.
Who?
Crazy.
Wonderful Jesus. Senior pastor of the Great Faith Church.
Look, I started crying. Lord Jesus.
That thing hit my heart.
All right, let's
Woo, Jesus. That thing felt. I felt that thing. Woo, Lord have mercy.
It's like fire. It's like
Look, that's
fire.
what we used to do on the hill. Look,
It's like fire shut down in the bones.
Wow.
It's what in your bones?
yeah. Listen, I look that. I feel that thing. Yeah, yeah. Woo, my God.
You don't know what he's done for me. Okay, that's enough. Baby, the victory.
Yeah.
I love
So I
it.
can't wait.
Kayla's over y'all.
Oh, I had a call.
Somebody shout yes. Won't he do it?
So listen, tonight, I hope they all had a wonderful, wonderful time listening to us. Look, I done got happy. But listen, y'all make sure y'all follow us on Instagram as Podcast 3 and also on Twitter. Look, my soul is happy. I don't even know what to say. But listen, ABC came through in the room. We got some more stuff coming through to y'all. Thank y'all so much, Chandler, that came on tonight. Bless you, buddy.
Thanks,
And
Tim.
congratulations. And then Lord, I feel my help. Listen, we're gonna have some more stuff coming on next week too. Until then, we love you. Stay safe, stay sanctified, and peace. I feel my help.
Hallelujah.